Hi guys, it is Aoife from Words of Clover and I'm here just to introduce a new vlog that I'm going to be doing for the next week. So obviously it is October, it is spooky time, people are reading spooky books, and there's something I want to do for a while, which is I wanted to read some zombie books that I have accumulated on my Kindle, and also just other ones that I've heard that are really good. I've said it before, I've talked about it before in previous videos. I actually have a whole book recommending zombie books, but I just really love like zombie media. I love movies about zombies, even though I do find them a bit scary, and I really love reading books that kind of focus in some way around a zombie apocalypse. So I have a few books on my Kindle that I wanted to read, and I wanted to kind of save them for kind of Halloween times, things when a bit spooky, things are getting a bit darker, a bit more autumnal. So that is what I'm going to be doing this week. I decided to dedicate a whole week to reading zombie books. So it is currently Tuesday, October 12th, and I'm going to be continuing this until next week, and then putting this vlog up next week. On with a week, I'm hoping to get about 3 or 4 books read. Now, a few of the books that I do actually have like lined up for this project, they're not as long as like other books, I guess. Like they're around between 200-300 pages rather than like 300-400 pages, so I could get through them really quickly and actually read more than I think I might be able to. But for the time being, I'm going to start with a book that I actually only recently purchased, and this was from, I think, a recommendation from Rachel at Shades of Orange, and that is Broken World by Kate L. Mary. Now this is just a really typical zombie fiction. We are following a woman who I think is trying to get cross country to her daughter during this like kind of apocalypse times. She ends up meeting up with kind of 2 redneck like brothers, and she hitches a ride with them, and as they kind of go further and further across the country, the zombie apocalypse gets worse and worse, and this woman is desperate to get to her daughter to be able to look after her. I'm not sure why they're separated in the first place, but she just needs to get to her daughter now to try and make sure that she is safe and then look after her. And I think she has some like a bad relationship with one of the brothers that she is traveling with, while she's also starting to get romantic feelings for the other one. And from what I can see from Rachel's review as well, she says it's very much like the Walking Dead fan fiction almost, and it feels a little bit like a Carol, Daryl and Meryl fan fiction, and to be honest, I'm kind of like here for that. I don't mind that at all, so I'm kind of looking forward to getting into this one for the first book to be real typical zombie fiction. And yeah, I wanted to I'll update you guys when I start reading it. I haven't started reading it yet because obviously I'm just starting work now, so I have to wait until later on to really get into it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because I think it's going to be really good. Hi guys, it is currently Wednesday afternoon now, so I wanted to update you guys with how I got on with the first book that I'm reading, which is Broken World. Now this is the first book in a series. I think there's like 5 or 6 books in the series, which is actually kind of fun for me as well, because I think I am going to like this. Like, it is very like generic kind of post-apocalyptic fiction with all of the problems that does like, and the tropes I guess that does tend to entail. But so far so good. I'm actually quite enjoying it. I don't think the writing is too bad. So in this book we are following a character called Vivian, who is currently kind of going from Kentucky to California to try and find her daughter, who turns out she was adopted at birth. And now this whole like apocalyptic thing is happening. People are getting this really bad virus and it's killing them. Vivian is going across to try and see her daughter and you know, possibly save her, or at least, you know, just the end of the world has made her think that she wanted to be with her daughter. Her daughter's around 4 or 5 years old now, and she obviously hasn't seen her since her birth. And she ends up meeting up with these 2 guys called Axel and Angus. They are brothers, and they're real kind of like redneck trailer trash, as she describes them in the book. She herself isn't like, is kind of from the same type of background. She's only quite young. I think she's like 20 years old in the book, and then Axel, who's kind of her love interest, is 22. Now I do think, I wish they were a little bit older. They don't feel that young. They feel a good bit older than they are supposed to be. But that's neither here or there. I'm still enjoying the book. So yeah, at the moment we are still on the road trip with them. She's just found her daughter, sent through now, and things are starting to take a turn with the virus, in that they're starting to realise that people are kind of coming back. The dead are coming back in this zombified state. So that hasn't happened before. And before now people got sick and then they just died, and it seems to be there's a population as well that tend to be immune to the virus, and it seems that these guys, Vivian and her friends, the people she's travelling with, could possibly be immune. But now the dead are rising back up as zombies. So the zombie bit of the book is actually just starting now, and that's kind of fun and exciting to see like how that goes down. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that all ends up. I'll definitely be reading more today. I might even finish it today. So yeah, and we'll probably go for a walk later, won't we? go for a walk and keep up with some of her training. I did go for a walk with her yesterday and I was going to bring you guys with me, and then I completely forgot. How much time for vlogging on the walks yet? What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, 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 that's a lovely burp. You are biting me. You are biting me. Could you stop? Could you stop biting me? Could you stop biting me? You're a zombie. You're a zombie. You're a zombie. Trying to eat me. Trying to eat me, hey? Are you a zombie? Zombie dog. Zombie dog. Hi guys, so back in the same place as a couple of days ago, but it is Thursday morning now and I wanted to update you guys because I finished Broken World last night as I predicted I would, and I actually really enjoyed this. I think this was just like a really great first book in what's going to be, I think, an epic series. I think there's like 6 or 7 books. I also think there's spin-off books set like 20-30 years in the future following the main character's children, and yeah, there seems to be a lot of books like in this series which will be really fun for me if I continue to like them and I continue to want to read them. And it's always fun. There's going to be a next book in the series and then like spin-off books and stuff like that. So yeah, really enjoy this. As I said, this is very like typical zombie like novel fiction. There's a lot of like kind of tropes in it. You have, you know, the rougher kind of redneck characters that are a little bit sexist, racist, homophobic, like all of those kind of things. You have the rich kind of asshole guy that comes into it. You have the kids, the mother and the children, and then you also have our main character Vivian, who is this kind of like hot pin-up type like character, and the pin-up thing is like her own description of her body. She used to be a stripper, you know, she has breast implants, like she, like from all purposes, like in terms of how she's described in the book, like she is an extremely good looking girl. She's only about 20-21, and yeah, she knows how to look after herself, but also like being in a group of people is also very beneficial to her for some of the things that she doesn't know how to do. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. I kind of liked getting to know Vivian a little bit better. I liked the kind of the chemistry between Vivian and Axel. Axel, who was like obviously our Daryl Dixon character from The Walking Dead, to the point where like the author in like her acknowledgements literally like said thank you to Daryl Dixon for like existing. So yeah, so this is definitely kind of very much like Walking Dead inspired. Those characters definitely come from that kind of Daryl Dixon, Meryl Dixon like stereotype, and you know, I'm okay with that. I really like Daryl Dixon as a character. I kind of liked seeing a different kind of version of him spawned in this book as well, and you know, being able to imagine him as the character, or like a younger version of him, or some kind of version of him as the character. I quite enjoyed that as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed this, and I thought it ended at a really great place. Like it ended on a real cliffhanger to the point where like I really want to read the next book. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, and I definitely think I'll be reading the next book. I don't know whether I'll be doing it in this video. It depends on how the other books go. If I have a couple of flops, I might go back and read the second book in the series. So yeah, I just wanted to update you guys on that. Next book I'm going to read is actually one, I feel like I've had this on my Kindle for a while. I don't know where I initially got it from, but it's called Killing the Dead by Richard Murray. And this is actually this is more of a novella than a novel. It's only just over 100 pages. And this one I thought was kind of interesting because in this one we're actually following a serial killer in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. So he's like literally in the middle of like where he has like just killed his latest victim, and then suddenly this girl is knocking on his door looking for like a safe place to go because there are zombies after her, and then the two of them have to go on the run because there's this horde of zombies. And it'll be kind of interesting to see like how that all works out, like a serial killer in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Like, will he be satisfied killing the undead dead, or will he still want to go after like live victims? And yeah, this one doesn't have great reviews, to be honest. Like there's a lot of like 1-2 star reviews on Goodreads for this one. So I was a little bit hesitant going into it, but I was like, it's only 100 pages and it might just be fun just to see like there, as I said, when it comes to zombie fiction, I feel like there's often a lot more flops than successes. But I just thought this one would be fun. I think like so far I've read the first 2 chapters, I think last night, and the writing, like it's not the best writing. It feels a little bit like something that I would have read, say like on a fan fiction site, like an original story on a fan fiction site years ago. It feels a little bit like that. I think the word irksome was used twice in the space of like a couple of pages as a description of something, and that in itself is irksome. I do also need to really finish my audiobook because I have 3 hours left and I have 2 days left, I think, on it before I have to return it to the library, so I really need to finish that. And it's not really zombie-esque. It's Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray, the third Diviner's book, and it's more ghosty than zombie, but the ghosts in this like to eat people, so it's kind of like zombie ghosts in a way, so it kind of works for this vlog, so I'm kind of happy with that. Rossi is down here. She's eating my shoe, and you can see all her toys around her. She has like so many toys, and she decides to eat my shoes and my socks. So, but to be honest, she's quiet at the moment while I'm working, so I'm just kind of letting her do that. So Rossi, hi. So yeah, I'll update you guys hopefully later on today. I know I keep saying later on today and then it's the next day, but hopefully I'll update you guys later with how I get on with this one, because yeah, I'm just eager to see what this one's about and if it's any better. Hi guys, so it is a little bit later on now on Thursday evening, and I've just finished Killing the Dead by Richard Murray. Actually, like, this started off, I was afraid I really wouldn't like it, but I actually ended up quite enjoying it. I did look on Goodreads, and this is like the start of like a 20 book series, which is like a little bit excessive if you ask me, but it seems like the books are like set into almost like seasons. So the end of the book, it says that like books 1 to 6 are kind of like the first season, and then I think 7 to 8, like books 7 and 8 are like the second season, so I'm not really sure if I'll continue on. I will say, like, I do feel like I didn't quite get enough of the story to feel like really satisfied with the characters and how everything ended up. There were some kind of laggy bits in it where the main character was kind of just like hanging around before going to find safety, and then meeting back up with the other people that he had originally teamed up with as the zombie like stuff started. And yeah, as I said, the whole aspect of him being a serial killer, like, it kind of came into play at the end of it in a way that was like interesting. I do think that he's suddenly a lot more skilled at like knife play and stuff then is quite believable, and he has a way of speaking that is just like overly formal, that it's a little bit like annoying to read. I don't really like that, but overall it wasn't too bad, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it. So I just need to figure out what I'm going to read next. I did find a book that I actually saw on a Goodreads, on a review on Goodreads. Someone was recommending it as a book that like did military zombie fiction quite well, and it's called Fortress Britain, and it was only like 99p or something on Kindle, so I actually picked that up yesterday, and I think I might try and give that one a go, but I probably won't start that until tomorrow. Hi guys, so it is Saturday morning now, it's 11 o'clock, and I've just been on a lovely walk on the beach with Rossi, and it was her first time on the beach, and I think she absolutely loved it. So yeah, digging loads of holes and making friends. She didn't get into the water, she was a little bit wary of the water, and I think she's actually sad now that we're back in the car. She doesn't want to go home, so she'll probably be needing a walk now later again, won't you? But yeah, because her energy is starting to just increase and increase and increase. So yeah, but that was lovely. I just wanted to update because I have read almost half of Fortress Britain now, and I will be honest, I was, first of all, I was going to try and read more than I did last night, but I ended up reading or watching like 4 episodes of Midnight Mass instead, because I'm really enjoying that. I'm absolutely enjoying it a lot more than I enjoyed The Haunting of Bly Manor. I did like Hill House, but Bly Manor I actually never finished. I just got really bored of it. But Midnight Mass I'm really enjoying. It's definitely like my type of like horror. Not too many jump scares, just like kind of creep and a little bit of gore, and yeah, really enjoying it. So
yeah, I ended up doing that last night instead, and I have the last episode to watch, which I'll probably watch today at some point. So yeah, so Fortress Britain, I've gotten almost halfway through now, and it's okay. It's getting better, definitely. I think the start of it is very like military heavy, and there's a lot of like, you know, I don't know, communication back and forth between bases and soldiers, and there's a lot of like military like jargon used, and that is like not my style at all. So I wasn't really enjoying that. I felt a little bit like, oh, I don't know if this is the book for me. And I was actually going to DNF it like the first chapter, and I was like, I'll just keep going. And then it got a little bit better. It is a really interesting world. It's like 2 years into the zombie apocalypse. The world is basically not the way it used to be at all. Basically mainland, I think America is gone, mainland Europe is more or less gone, is completely overrun by zombies. There's like different types of zombies. There's like slower zombies, there's faster zombies, and there's actually this new zombie that's started to appear in this book that's like really, really fast. It doesn't seem to actually want to feast. It just seems to want to infect people, and then like it runs away, and it's like almost like this like bigger, meaner, more terrifying version of a zombie. I think the whole thing of is because the UK was an island when it happened, that you know, they were able to kind of close themselves off and almost like protect themselves from like being completely overrun, and it seems like it's almost the only safe place now. And it's kind of like there are some civilians living, and there's also this big massive like military base, which is like what we are focusing on and where our characters are. They're all kind of part of the military in some way. So yeah, that's really interesting, and it seems like, you know, there's a big threat coming their way, especially with these new zombies, and I really like that. And I just kind of like the I guess the different type of zombie story. Like that's what I'm kind of like doing this for, to see like the different types of zombie stories that are out there and the ones that I enjoy. And yeah, the only thing as well I will say is it's a very, very, very male heavy. All the characters that we've basically followed so far, I'm almost 100 pages in out of a 200-page book, and all of the characters have been male. There's only one female, it seems, on this like alpha team that we are kind of following, and the way she has been talked about so far, like by the soldiers, I don't really like. It seems like the only conversation they seem to have had about her is like who she's sleeping with, and there's definitely seems to be, I don't know, like there's no female voice in this story, and yeah, I don't really like that. So yeah, I'll probably read the rest of it today, or like most of it today, and we will see. I'm going to get back now, get some breakfast, a cup of tea, and well, brunch now I guess, and a cup of tea, and probably clean up a bit, and yeah, to see what the rest of my day entails. I don't know yet. So yeah, I'll get this girl back because I think she's actually very thirsty, so I need to give her some water. So yeah.
It is Sunday evening now, and I wanted to update because I have read the first book in Fortress Britain. I think the series name is Fortress Britain, and then the first book is actually called Arisen. I've just been calling it Fortress Britain. So I finished that last night while I was having a bath, and the bath was lovely. The book ended up being a 2 stars for me. I do think it was well written, but I think it was so heavy on like the military aspect of it, and I now know that military books in general, like I wouldn't read in general like military based fiction book, but because this was like zombie based, that's why I picked it up. But definitely even like a zombie based military book is just not for me. I just found the military jargon like really heavy. Some of the action scenes, like maybe they would have been exciting in like a less, you know, I don't know, operational sense if it was just like, you know, ordinary people in these moments trying to figure out what to do. I just didn't get on with the writing so much when it was so like, you know, military talk heavy, again, military jargon, and I don't think we really got to know any of the characters. This was like 215 pages, 216 pages, and I do think it was a little bit short, and I do think the next book is only maybe about 150 pages, and I don't know why maybe the first book and the second book could have been like put into two and we would have been with the characters longer. Where it ends in the first book, I think there's definitely anticipation for what's coming next, because they're going on like this really special mission like across like the water to America, which is like completely, they have no idea what they're going into. They're going to be going into a big city, and their lives are definitely going to be at stake, and like that's really exciting. But I don't know, I think it would have been more exciting to kind of, I feel like we were just starting to get going and then it suddenly like ended, and I don't think we got enough in the first book. I think what like their foray into Chicago should have like been part of the first book, not just like them getting ready to go to it. And yeah, so I'm a little bit unsure with this book. I do think it was written well, and I think there are a lot of people who their reading style and like the things they like in books, they might actually get on with this really, really well. As I said, it's very like male character heavy, and I think like the one female character in this like alpha team, her name is Ali, and I just think that every time she was talked about, it was talked about in a sense of like who she might have been sleeping with. The one time we get anything from her point of view was something to do with that as well, and I was like, why is that like the only thing to do with the female character is like who she might be sleeping with? And you know, she's supposed to be this amazing sniper, like she is talked about being an amazing sniper, but the main thing with her is her sex life, and that was just, it just felt a little bit sleazy. And I definitely was like a bit confused about like who we were following and how everyone was connected. Like, you know, everyone had like their own backstory, but I think we were following almost too many characters. I think I would have liked it to have been like trimmed down a little bit and only maybe following 2 or 3 characters instead of kind of getting a lot of points from a lot of them, especially when like they're on like the same mission. So yeah, 2 out of 5 stars. Didn't really enjoy it. I don't think I will pick up the second book because I just don't think it's worth it. I'm actually currently watching The Walking Dead, or re-watching it I should say. I'm on season 2 episode 7 and quite enjoying that today. So I am currently reading Dawners of the Dead by Karina Halle. I don't know if you can see this. Is again just a 250 page zombie book. This is one that I think I've had on my Kindle for a very, very long time, and this is actually going to be an interesting one because this one is set in 1851, and I think I just really love the idea of like, I really loved Dread Nation by Justina Ireland, which is a post Civil War era America zombie apocalypse, and that was really, really fun. I love a zombie apocalypse like set in historical historical fiction. I think that's so cool, and I think it can be done in a really interesting way. So this is set in 1851. We are following a young girl who I think is half Native American, and I think the whole point of this book is, I think they're on like the Gold Rush Trail, or like the Gold Rush Trail of what like we would know about it in history, but now it's even more dangerous because the zombies have overrun it. So she is on this with a man that I think she's been forced to marry him due to circumstances, and she doesn't really get on with him that well, but then they end up having to, you know, depend on each other for survival because of the zombies that are after them, while also kind of trying to find a way to, you know, get like assets for the rest of their life and to make them comfortable, maybe find a home for themselves. And I presume maybe at the end it does turn from like kind of, I don't know whether hatred, like enemies to lovers, or just like mutual distaste to lovers. I'm not sure, like amid the zombie apocalypse. So I'm hoping this one will be good. I forgot that I had it on my Kindle, to be honest, and then it came up when I was searching for zombies on it. So yeah, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and maybe read up at least 5 chapters tonight, maybe. I just have dinner on, and I'm watching The Walking Dead. So I've had a bit of a lazy day. We had a nice walk. Me and Rossi had another nice walk this morning. She got to meet loads of other dogs. She got all her socialising done. I got loads of socialising done because when you're a dog walker, I always feel like if you're walking your dog, it's kind of like this like lovely social hour, because other dog walkers will talk to you, and if the dogs are playing, you'll chat to them, and yeah, it's kind of a nice way to kind of meet people in your area as well. So yeah, I will catch up with you guys when I read a little bit more of Dawners of the Dead. At the moment, I have only read like the first page, so I have no thoughts. So it is Tuesday now and I've finished Dawners of the Dead. This book was actually quite interesting because it wasn't like, I don't think I've described, it's not like a full-on zombie novel. It's kind of like a pioneer romance with a horror element, like a horror twist with it, that are kind of with these kind of like zombie creatures. So we're following a young girl called Eve. I think she's maybe about 17 years old, 18 years old. Following her, she lives with her aunt and uncle and her mother. Eve is half Native American and she always feels like, you know, she doesn't quite fit in. Her uncle doesn't really treat her very well. She experiences a lot of racism and a lot of prejudice because of her Native American heritage. And then we see her being employed as a tracker to this group who are going up the mountain, and they're kind of on the trail of someone who has gone missing, and it kind of feels like they think that there's something up the mountain. And while she's on that trip, she meets a man called Jake, who at first kind of seems like broody. He's not really talking, like he's not really that friendly, but they kind of have this chemistry, I guess, and this attraction towards each other. But as they get further and further up the mountain, like these weird things are happening, like there's kind of like this creepy element coming into it, and things start happening to like the party that they're with, and eventually the like zombie like monsters come into play, and Jake and Eve end up having to kind of band together to try and save each other. Yeah, this was really interesting. I did actually quite like this. I liked the time period it was set in, and I liked Eve as a character. Zombies in this are actually kind of interesting because it's not like if you get bitten by them you don't necessarily turn. It's kind of if you consume flesh of another person, especially if, the flesh of a person who's been bitten. They kind of reminded me, the monsters kind of had an agenda. They weren't just these mindless monsters. They kind of knew what they were doing, and in that case they kind of reminded me a little bit of like the White Walkers, even how they were described. They were kind of really pale with blue eyes, and they reminded me a lot of like White Walkers in Game of Thrones. So they were like that kind of zombie like monster, not like the type of zombies I would have seen in like the other books that I've read. And I definitely like, this definitely did end up being a really pleasant surprise for me. As I said, it was a lot more of this pioneer romancy kind of book. Like there was a lot more romance in this book than I actually initially thought there would be, but I did actually quite like that, and I think it was a nice note to end on too. So I gave it a 4 to 5 stars. I do really recommend it for someone who maybe wants a zombie type novel but not full on zombie. Like there are definitely like the horror elements in this, and this kind of this creep factor, the fact they are in the woods, they are in the snow, they are trapped, they kind of, you know, they're really fighting for their lives, but it's not full on zombie. So I think this might be a really good one for people who might be want to test out the genre a little bit. So yeah, I think it was a successful reading experiment I should say, and I don't think I'll be reading zombie books for a while now. I think I have like zombied myself out with the books. Yeah, it was fun, and I think next year it'll be really fun. Maybe like next year, like I could do like reading witchy books, or reading like books about vampires or things like that, or alien books or stuff like that that are kind of like creepy or, you know, horroristic in a way. So if you have any recommendations, do let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye.